Just like all living things, plants have a life cycle. Plants are born, live, and ultimately die. But before they die, plants too must reproduce in order to carry on the survival of the species. Let's talk about apples. An apple tree begins with a seed. When conditions are favorable in terms of water and temperature, the seed begins to germinate. During germination, the seed coat splits open and the plants begin to sprout. Because plants produce their food using photosynthesis, which requires sunlight, a seed must contain its own food source until the tiny plant can thrust through the soil and into the light. These seed leaves, called cotyledons, are tiny heart-shaped leaves that contain protein and starch that will feed the new plant until it can use sunlight to make its own food. As soon as they poke through the ground, the cotyledons will begin producing food for the plant. Then as the sprout continues to grow, it becomes a seedling. Pollinization occurs when pollen from one flower reaches another flower. Pollen is produced on the male reproductive structure called the stamen. The stamen is made up of two parts, the filament and the anther. Pollen must get transferred from the anther to the stigma, the female part of a plant. This is usually done by some of nature's little helpers, bees, butterflies, and birds. After pollinization, a complex process called fertilization takes place. This is when the plant's ovary expands into a fruit which contains the seeds for the next generation of apples. The fleshy part